Hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some frickin' money. It's time for Pocket with Jo. Happy Saturday, everyone. Jo here of SportsGrid. It's time for Pocket with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV on X as well as on YouTube. If you guys can hit that like, hit that retweet, and hit that subscribe button over on YouTube, I would greatly appreciate it. We'll keep this show going and next season, regular season, and the playoffs. So we do go live daily here at noon Eastern on SportsGrid TV. And we got game 3 today, and the Carolina Hurricanes find themselves in a really sticky situation going out on the road now for game 3, down 0-2 in this series. Can Carolina get something done will be the biggest question mark. Also, question marks on what they're going to do in net. Frederik Andersen just not looking strong versus the Florida Panthers. Will they bring out Krejcikov? So lots of question marks around that for this game. Really no confirmation on either way with goaltending. But one thing we do know, the Florida Panthers have absolutely dominated those first 2 games in Carolina. And Carolina had such a great home record this season. Their inconsistencies did come out there on the road. Now, we saw Sam Reinhart leave that last game. He's listed day-to-day, and we are seeing the props over on FanDuel, so we have to weigh into account. Sam Reinhart won't be at his best, which could give the Carolina Hurricanes an uptick, but do I trust them? No. We know they've lost the last 14 conference final games, and you look at them here versus the Florida Panthers, and they've been completely outplayed. It's hard for me to make a bet other than against the Carolina Hurricanes or on the Florida Panthers. Instead of going against the Carolina Hurricanes, because we know their backs are up against the wall, it's interesting to see the books have their team total 2.5 at minus 111 to the over. You know, we've been riding that under 2.5. I'm just going to look at Florida and what I expect out of the Florida Panthers. You guys know that I had the Florida Panthers originally to win in 6. After seeing game 1, I did take Florida in 4 and 5, expecting maybe we could see the gentleman's sweep. Now, if we see the gentleman's sweep, does it come today with Carolina giving it their best and getting 1 win here and then Florida answering back for the next 2? Quite possibly. Could we possibly see Florida win this one and then Carolina in game 4 get that 1 win for us to get that win in 5 by Florida? Absolutely. Or could we just get the sweep? 100%. If Carolina looks like they did in that last game, we will see the sweep, in my opinion, in these next 2. So looking at the odds today, you guys, we do have the Florida Panthers, a large favorite, minus 144. Now, this has dropped. We're seeing money come in on Carolina now, plus 120 underdog. The Carolina Hurricanes total 5.5. We're getting great plus money to the over at plus 116. We got minus 142 to the under. Now, I do think you be cautious with that total. If you're going to take a total, for me, I'm going to roll with the Florida Panthers. You can take an outline of the Florida Panthers over 3.5 goals coming in at plus 156. Now, there are 3s out there, so you could take the solid 3, risk getting the push. My problem with that is I would rather get that plus money laying or just getting the 3s. You're going to have to lay the juice. So I don't love it. I will take the Florida Panthers over 3.5 goals. They've proven in these first couple of games they can score on Frederik Andersen. Game 1, they got that nice 5-2 win. Game 2, 5-0 win. There was no empty netters in that one. We look at the faceoffs in game 2. We did see Carolina still win those faceoffs like they did in game 1, but at a lighter rate, 51.9%. They weren't able to convert on their 3 power play opportunities, and Florida capitalized on each of the power play opportunities out there. More physical here was the Florida Panthers in that last game, 56 hits versus 42 for Carolina. And then those shots on goal. The Carolina Hurricanes absolutely struggled to generate those shots on goal. We saw 19 block shots out of the Florida Panthers. Carolina only able to put up 17 shots in that game. It's just not good enough for this team to be able to record a win. 21 shots did come out of Florida and 17 block shots for the Carolina Hurricanes. So Team total wise, I've got to go with Florida's team total over 3.5 for that great plus money at plus 158. And then if you want to look at Carolina, again, I find it really interesting. The books have their team total over a 2.5 at minus 111 and then plus money to the under. It's kind of telling me they think the Carolina Hurricanes are going to get 3 goals in this one. I just don't know if I can see it, you guys, especially with their inability to convert on the power play and inability to generate those shots in the last game. You know, they're going to be coming out a lot stronger. And without Sam Reinhart on the ice, we might see that uptick in this one. Now, when we look at something that's really interesting, because if you do want to jump on that team total of Carolina, again, I won't be touching it. But when we look at Bobrovsky has a save shots on goal prop of 24.5. He is a 10-4 in 14 games in the playoffs. We know outstanding numbers, a 2.13 goals against average and a 910 save percentage. But when we look at him at home in his career versus the Carolina Hurricanes, those numbers aren't great. 1-3-1 in 5 games with a 3.22 goals against average and a 903 save percentage. So I understand why the books have the Canes team total at 2.5 at minus 111 to the over. So if you're willing to play that, if you're willing to have that faith, I can't get there, but it makes sense that they'll be able to score 3 goals on Bobrovsky with what we've seen out of him versus the Canes when he's on home ice. So those kind of trends are definitely something you have to take into account. Again, I think Bobrovsky in the playoffs plays at a different level. I think the Florida Panthers will, again, block those shots out there, and I struggle to trust that top line of the Carolina Hurricanes on the road. So that is where my issues come with that 2.5. Now, I do think there's a couple of players you can look at, and I do think there's another bet that I love. So when we look at Florida, we know Florida loves to get off to that hot start. I expect them to come out and hit either Frederik Andersen or Kochetkov between the pipes, whoever they put out. I think Rob Brindamore should put Kochetkov out just to give a new spark to his team out there. There's something to be said about changing goalies. But if you do that, you get the win. Frederik Andersen, I don't know. I really don't. Frederik Andersen, I've never really trusted in the playoffs anyway. But I expect the Florida Panthers to come out hard in that first period. You're getting a first period puck line, laying a half a goal at plus 164. They can win that first period. Even if it's a 2-1 first period, if Carolina somehow gets that extra oomph with this being game 3, not wanting to go down 3-0. So I do think first period puck line here for the Florida Panthers just makes sense at plus 164 with or without Sam Reinhart, with or without Frederik Andersen between the pipes. I do think Florida should be able to get there. Now, one thing as well to note for the Florida Panthers, without Sam Reinhart in the lineup this season, they went 1-2. So they did lose 2 of the 3 games that he did miss, but the Florida Panthers are full of so much depth, you guys. I do think for Hagee, how strong he has been in the last 2 games, he's been able to put up 5 points here versus the Carolina Hurricanes. You look at Sam Bennett in the playoffs thus far, 9 goals, 4 assists. I'm looking at Sam Bennett tonight to come out strong on his home ice, but I do think you can look at a couple of players here for the Carolina Hurricanes in different aspects. So let's look at Sam Bennett. The power play point for Sam Bennett's coming in at plus 420. Now I want to look at the regular point because it was locked. I already got the power play point in for Sam Bennett at plus 420. If you want to take the regular point, it's minus 130. So you will have to lay the juice. We know how solid Sam Bennett has been, and I do think without Sam Reinhart in the lineup, you look for him. Now, Matthew Tkachuk did that big step up in that last game, and for Hagee, just absolutely phenomenal. So you could look at a combination of the 3. For myself, it will be Sam Bennett power play point at plus 420. When we look here at the Carolina Hurricanes, one thing to note, Brett Burns had more block shots in the last game than anyone even had shots for the Carolina Hurricanes. Brett Burns also scored the first goal in 2 of the last 4 as underdogs against the Florida Panthers. So I think Brett Burns, a defenseman here for the Carolina Hurricanes, definitely worth a look. We know he spent some time in the penalty box in that last game. 2+ block shots on goal coming in at plus 105. Great value when you look at that last game, and he had 5 block shots. In game 1, he did have those 2 block shots. So 2+ at plus 105, but I'm going to sprinkle on the 3+ instead. You guys know, sucker for that plus money, 3+ block shots for Brett Burns coming in at plus 330. I think it is a really solid way to go. Now, if you want to look at Brett Burns to get that goal tonight, you're going to get incredible plus money. Off the top of my head, I'm just drawing a blank on what I got it in at. I think it's worth a shot. With him being able to score, it's plus 1100. It's worth a little bit, just some coffee change here for Bet Burns to be able to get on the board tonight. And then the other player that I like more, so Brett Burns is kind of like a sprinkle. I really do think Andrei Sheznikov can't be held off the board in this game with Carolina with their backs up against the wall. His anytime goal tonight plus 240, but it's power play points where I'm going to hit it plus 260. He has 8 goals in the playoffs thus far. He's strong on that power play. The power play didn't convert in the last game, but I do think even if Carolina only gets those 2 goals on the board or 1 goal on the board, Sheznikov should be the playmaker, with Brett Burns being my second favorite to get those points tonight out there. So maybe Sheznikov for a point, Brett Burns for a point. Sheznikov for the regular points, too juicy, so the power play point there, but Brett Burns for the regular point. He is held to 0 shots on goal in that last game, 1 shot in game 1. So Florida's really been limiting him, but I do think he finds a way to get those shots. We saw 3 shots on goal in the last 3 versus the Washington Capitals, with each of those games producing a goal as well. So Sheznikov is going to be hungry to get back on the board. And then if you look at the other playmakers for the Carolina Hurricanes, Seth Jarvis does lead this team in the playoffs with 12 points. Sebastian Aho is sitting there in the second place with 11. Now, Aho did record a goal, but it was called offside, so the goal was taken back in that last game. He's going to be hungry. The attempt shots normally, other than that last game, for Carolina for 5-on-5 hockey is Sheznikov, Seth Jarvis, and Sebastian Aho on that top line. Their 5-on-5 numbers, 4 shots on goal, are fantastic out there on the ice. So they need to start producing. We know Aho was held off last game. In the first game, he had 6 shots. So I do think those shots are coming better in this game here for the Carolina Hurricanes, even though I still don't trust their inconsistencies. Now, I do think it's worth an overtime look in this game. It's a lot to ask of Carolina, but again, I think with Sam Reinhart out of the lineup, looking at overtime at plus 320 is worth it. Now, Sam Reinhart is on the ice. I don't think he's 100%. And I do think Carolina, while I don't think they win this series, I think they win one of the next 2. So the overtime bet, if they win, it's going to be an overtime, in my opinion. It's a long shot for sure, plus 320, but worth a look. So recap time, and then I'll look at your guys' comments. Best bets of this game. The Florida Panthers puck line first period is my favorite bet, laying a half a goal at plus 164. I then think Florida's team total over 3.5 at plus 158. Definitely worth a look. You can get a solid 3 out there. You will have to lay the juice. Sam Bennett for the power play point at plus 420. The regular points at minus 130. Give me the power play point for him. I think Matthew Tkachuk and Verhaeghe as well for their points should be a solid way to go. I'm going to look at Sheznikov here for the Carolina Hurricanes to score on the power play. So I'll take his power play point at plus 260. And then I think Brett Burns, 2+ shots on goal, plus 105. Great look. 3+ even better at plus 330. 5 shots on goal, not shots, block shots on goal. He had 5 block shots on goal in the last game. So give me 2+ block shots at plus 105, 3+ block shots at plus 330. Brett Burns, though, has been solid as an underdog versus the Panthers in scoring those goals. So plus 1100, worth a sprinkle for Brett Burns to get on the score sheet. But definitely a long shot here with the defense. I do think if this one goes to overtime at plus 320 to go to overtime, we're looking at the over 5.5 at plus 110 coming into play as well. So should be a really interesting game out there for sure. Let's make some freaking money. No WNBA bets as of yet, Tony, but I will have some for in-game live today. So make sure you join me over on the grid. Maybe I'll do part of my WNBA bets in my Cup of Joe today. So, Tony, do stay tuned for that. You're agreeing on the Panthers. Yeah, they should have a really solid game. I expect 4 goals out of them. Let's make some freaking money. How could we not roll with Sam Bennett? He's been so strong out there for us. And, yeah, anytime goal at plus 800. I don't hate that. That is for sure. Everyone's going to sprinkle on that plus 800. I like it. Rodriguez assist has done well for you lately. Nicely done in that one. So let's go, you guys. Let's make some freaking money. I love you guys chatting amongst yourselves in the chat there. let's all get together, get things done. Let me know if you got a same game parlay that you're liking, what you're liking out there in the diamonds. And damn it, I tell you, the NBA tonight. Timberwolves, what are they going to do? Are they going to show up versus OKC? I tell you, I keep riding the Timberwolves plus the points. They're only a 3-point dog at home in this one. It feels like OKC is going to get the sweep, right? And what happened to the Knicks last night, man? I tell you, NBA has been hard on me lately. So, you guys, all the best in all of your bets. In-game live today with Scott Wetzel, 4 to 8 p.m. Eastern, 4 to 8 p.m. Eastern on Sunday as well. And then on Monday, 4 to 8 p.m. Eastern on Memorial Day, I'll be live with Tom Vecchio. So, Tom Vecchio Monday, Scott Wetzel and myself today and tomorrow. And let's make some freaking money out there on the ice, on the diamonds, on the hardwood. All the best on all of your bets, you guys. Hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies.